Hello and welcome, everybody. It is Coach Action Jackson, and I'm here with another episode of Client Success Stories. And I'm very excited because I got a special couple here, a couple that went through the program together. Those that sweat together stay together. That's the rumor, at least. And this couple is proof of that. Now, they both got fantastic, amazing, and awesome results. I'll start with the lovely Kristen. So Kristen lost 14.2 pounds. She lost 7.1% body fat. 9.5 inches total off of her body, and her strength score went up by 26%. Now, Anthony, he also did very well. He lost 23 pounds, 7.7% body fat. He lost 5 inches off of his waist alone. And get this, are you ready? An incredible 55% increase in his strength score. Anthony and Kristen, you've both done super well. I appreciate you being here. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Thank you, Coach. Like I said, my name is Kristen, and this is my lovely partner, Anthony. We are currently engaged. We actually got engaged the week before we started this program. We live over on the East Coast in North Carolina. I work in HR. I actually do health and wellness for my employees. So kind of got to live the lifestyle that I teach them. And I'll let Anthony talk about what he does.
I'm Anthony. I actually do information technology. So I just wanted to be a little bit different from everybody else in the field. And, just be fit for myself because I want to see and be able to interact with my kids when I'm older. Kristen is correct. We got engaged right beforehand. And I think that was kind of one of the big motivators for us to push as hard as we did to get the results that we got.
Interesting. So dive into that. Let's start right there. So what do you mean by that? So you get engaged, and then is it for the wedding? Is it just for each other? Like, what's the kind of the motivation there?
Coming into the program, we had already kind of started a journey. When we came back from our holiday vacation last year, we had gained a significant amount of weight. And we weren't happy with the way we looked, so we actually purchased the tonal and started using it. And that's where we met you, and I messaged you. So we had kind of already started getting into that mindset of like, we need to do better for ourselves, each other, and of course, the little ones. 'Cause they want to go play, and it's not fun if I run 10 feet and I'm like, oh man. So we really got with your program because we felt we had good progress up until that point, but we wanted to take it to a new level. And she had some very specific goals in mind, and we didn't really know how to achieve that. So I messaged you because I was like, man, these workouts are incredibly intense. I have to let him know and give him some credit. But as we started talking, we were like, oh, he can help us achieve what we're trying to get to.
Well, I appreciate that. And I do have a special sort of connection with you too, because you're one of the couple people that flew me out to see you and spend some time together. So we actually spent an entire day together, which was great. So we definitely have a special bond. We spent a day, we did a hike, we worked out, we did form feedback, we did all kinds of fun stuff. So that's kind of where the journey started. But even let's rewind a little bit further than that. You get engaged, you gain some weight. That was kind of the thing that made you want to jump in. What were your kind of goals? Each go, whoever wants to go first. What were your goals? What did you want to achieve as you kind of started this journey?
So for me, mine actually started long before. I know that I've told you, and I've mentioned this in our group before, but right after when I got pregnant with my son, I gained a lot of weight. And after I had him, I lost about 100 pounds. And I know what I'm doing, and I know the basics of nutrition and the cooking and the exercise. And I had been doing that for a long time and managed to keep that weight off for a long time. But like Anthony said, our holidays, getting older, that was 10 years ago. So it just keeps like adding up, and it was much harder. But my goal specifically, it was different. And yes, I had a few pounds that I wanted to lose, but I really wanted to shift that mindset more towards one, being healthy long term, but two, being able to, the most broad ways to say is just to get stronger and be fit and, as Anthony would say, become a muscle mommy. And I didn't want to be bulky, but I did want to get that lean, toned look instead of just being thin or skinny. And I wanted to be strong, and I wanted, when I go to work and lift a heavy box, I can, not have to struggle with it and have the guys try to come help me. So for me, I needed the guidance on, I know how to eat right, I know how to exercise, but how do I go a step further with the muscle growth and the strength improvement and dialing in my nutrition, I think specifically for weight training, which I had never really had experience with.
Beautiful. How about you, Anthony? What was your kind of goal and objective as you got started?
As we started talking, my main thing is, like I said, when we started the whole process, I had reached about 200 pounds. That is the heaviest I've ever been. And when I stepped on the scale, even I was surprised because I hadn't weighed myself in a few months. I was at my brother's house just eating whatever, and I was just shocked. And I didn't like it. I hadn't liked it for a very long time, but due to life circumstances and a little bit of stubbornness on my part, not wanting to learn how to cook and all that, I ate out a lot, and that's kind of what led to that. So as we began talking, and you were telling me about, the dieting, and you're going to teach us the different aspects of not necessarily dieting, because it's not a diet. It is a dietary change for health. And I think that's where a lot of people get confused, because we're not doing this short term. We're doing it to be healthy. And that was a big motivator for me to start with. And again, I mean, I even have your picture still up on the wall. Like, you motivate me every single day. I was like, I want to look like that guy. So that's what we did.
I just yell at it.
We signed up, and I was like, I'm gonna try my damnedest to get there, and I think I've done a pretty decent job. Still a long ways to go, but we're getting there.
Well, you both made incredible strides. Like, let's not discount that at all. So the physical changes are astronomical. You both look amazing. The photos are incredible. The numbers we shared are great as well. But what were some of the mental, emotional, mindset maybe shifts? I know, Kristen, you mentioned mindset earlier. Like, let's dive into that a little bit. What were some of those shifts as you went through the program, and just talk me through those?
Probably most of my life, most of my adult life, I could say that my relationship and mindset about food, and it just was not good. Early in my college years, taking health classes, we were tasked to do a behavior change. And that was really kind of where I got into the mindset of like food tracking and just being conscious of what I eat and what I put in my body. And at the time, it felt like a healthy thing to do. And instead of gaining the freshman 15, I lost, 20 pounds my freshman year. So I was really proud of that, but I think it set me up. I was always kind of the heavy kid growing up. My family was not the most fit. So relearning that, no food is inherently bad, and about how to moderate it, which now that we're kind of at the end of that and, shifting into our legacy and stuff like that, we've definitely laxed a little bit. But we also have learned, I think the biggest thing is learning that like we can balance this. We can have our cheat meals. We can have, I had a girls' night this week where I had a couple of drinks, and then we come back the next day and we get back into it. So being able to shift that mindset into food is not bad. You cannot out exercise a bad diet, and just finding that happy median with it all.
That's fantastic. And it's so important because so many people, to your point, Anthony, earlier, they think it's going to be a diet. They're going to do something for a period of time. They're going to lose the weight, get to where they want to be, and then it's done. They cross the finish line. Bravo, I'm done. I can go back to eating like normal again. And that's where they gain the weight back. It has to be a lifestyle shift. And I don't even like the word diet. I mean, we have to call it something, but it really is a lifestyle shift. And I'm so glad that you've been able to make that, Kristen. Now, Anthony, for you, what have been some of the mindset shifts or anything that you might have experienced as you've gone through the program?
Like I mentioned before, I did a lot of eating out, just kind of eating whatever I wanted. So food was a massive shift for me. Um, Learning how to one track. I mean, it doesn't sound like it should be hard, but it's kind of difficult. And then learning like, oh, you have to track like the three macros, like those are the biggest things. And to Kristen's point, like I noticed something had clicked with me when we're about phase two into the program, and somebody was like, I was at a little meeting with some friends, and they're like, "Oh, this isn't healthy. You can't eat that." And I was like, "Well, you can. It's no food is inherently bad." And they're like, "Well, what do you mean by?" And I started going into this, and I was like, "Wait, what is happening right now?" Like, so it was a huge shift. And like Kristen had said, since we've finished, we've may have added another cheat meal here or there. So we kind of slid, but I honestly think that we're changing mindsets again, and I think it's good for us to do that. One, because we offset it with a little bit of a deficit on some days if we have to. If we went way overboard, we'll do some deficit on the following day to kind of bring it back, rein it back in. But it also is allowing us to not have that love hate relationship with food. So it's more like, oh, okay, we had a drink or two this day. That's okay. We're not going to immediately go back to where we were, because we've caught ourselves recently doing that where we're like, oh man, we've been so bad this week, and it's like we had a piece of candy at Halloween, and that was really what it is. And you're just like, oh my God, I'm gonna lose all the results. That's not really the case.
Yeah, you're correct. You're not going to lose all the results. And getting to that balance point is important, right? A lot of people want balance, but what they start with is they go, okay, I'm going to go from eating all this terrible stuff to just eating slightly less terrible stuff. And that's usually not the best approach. So what we do is we try to go to the other side. And then we try to shift you into balance as we move towards the end of the program. So that does a couple of things. One, it gets you great results early, which helps build momentum. You get excited, you're seeing the difference, you're feeling it, etc. Then we switch you back to a more sustainable approach that you can do for the long term, and you're experiencing that. And then as you get to the end of the program, there's often a little bit of a letting up on the gas a little bit, and that's okay. And you kind of settle into a zone that you feel really good with, and then you can then hit the gas again if you want, or you can, basically kind of just try to maintain that level of results that you've gotten and shift into more of what we call like a maintenance mode. So it's totally up to you at that point. But yeah, you've both done a fantastic job. You're not going to lose all the progress in a week or a weekend or anything. And you have to get to this point that, is even if you get off the plan a little bit, you just reclaim those habits very quickly. In the book, Atomic Habits by James Clear, one of the things he talks about is he said, um, top performers and high achievers, the thing that they have versus other people, it's not that they don't fall down or stumble or get off the path or get off the wagon, if you will. It's that they reclaim those habits faster than most people. So you have a couple of drinks. Hey, no big deal. I'm not going to beat myself up about it or shame myself or try to quote unquote fix it or make up for it. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to make an adjustment, get back on track, and then continue the journey. And you're doing that, which is great. So the next thing I want to kind of ask you about is obviously going through this as a couple is different than the way a lot of people go through it. So how did you think that played in uniquely to either you guys getting such great results or just, what was that like going through it together?
I think it made it easier for Anthony because
I would say I think it helped a lot.
Helped him. So
both of us.
Because of my background, I obviously have some skills in meal planning, but I despise meal planning with a fiery passion. Like I have contemplated paying someone to just take my macros and make me a meal plan. And I was the one who put together our meal plans every phase. And I will say that one thing we did to make it easier for us, which I think is going to be a little bit of a challenge to come off of, is we kind of took a meal, like a menu, and then each phase we just kind of added and changed it, but we pretty much eat the same things. week to week. And really, it was just for ease. We knew what we were doing, especially if I'm packing his lunch for work. We know what to take. We know what to pack. It's real easy. And again, that may be a little bit of a challenge when we come trying to taper off of it. But I know that made it easier for him. And I know with the workouts, though, I think that when he would come join me, because I used to work out earlier than him. Now he works out earlier than me, which is kind of funny. But he'd come in and sit with me and cheer me on. And, if I needed that little bit of push on that last rep just to get it to the top, he was there to kind of push me through a little bit.
I was going to say workouts is where it came out a lot, because you would work out, you cheer each other on, yell at each other to just get that last rep, like let's go get it up. But then the competitive, because we're both competitive people, that started coming into play. Like, oh, you increased by 300 pounds this exercise. Let's see if I can get that. And that ended up leading to a lot of the strength score results. Because otherwise, I feel like you could become complacent and just let tonal kind of take over when you're increasing the weights. But we were constantly pushing ourselves. And that also played a part in like the scale. Be like, oh, well, I lost this. Oh, well, I lost this. And then you can reaffirm like, hey, you're doing fantastic. And it's not just, oh, I had a bad weigh-in. Like, I am gonna go down this dark rabbit hole. She could be like, yeah, you're up by like 0.4. Like, get out of here. That's a swig of water. Like, come on.
The challenging part, though, would be if one of us was having a week where we were either stalling or going up, and then the other one was going down. You're like, okay, well, I don't know what I'm doing. But so that part definitely had its own set of struggles where some people maybe wouldn't normally compare. That it's easier for men most of the time to lose the weight, but we're good about pushing each other because of our Spartan races, and that showed a lot this year too, where we learned motivating techniques for each other. I won't say learned; he abused them during our last Spartan race.
We got first though.
Yeah, so we like to push each other, and I think that was really shown by being able to do this together.
Absolutely, and I love it when couples go through the program together because I think it just benefits them so much. There's accountability, there's support, there's all these things. You're going through this together. It's bonding in such a great way. And I just think it's fantastic. And I couldn't imagine my life without my wife, but I couldn't imagine my life without my wife, who also likes to work out and eat healthy and do all these things. So if she was the complete opposite and hated working out, or as my mom used to say, like she hated to sweat or didn't, disliked, would never eat a kale salad or something, like, I don't know what I would do. That would be very difficult. So I think it's just awesome that you guys I think it's awesome that you guys have each other to rely on each other and push each other and compete even in the best possible way, which is great too. So that's fantastic. Now, you two do a lot of Spartan races together. What's been the change, the performance change since you started the program and the performance?
It's been huge. So I'm currently wearing a Spartan shirt. This is the beast that we did. Easily one of the hardest beasts. It's, I think, top 3 hardest beasts that the Spartan race has to offer. And our first year doing it, we did it in 7 hours. Our second year was 5.5, I think.
6 and some change, I think.
Yeah,
5, I don't know.
It was high 5s, low 6s. But this year we came in at like 4:10. So we dropped about 2 hours off of our time. And that's on the long race. On the short race, we started with short race is still 4 miles. We did it in about an hour and a half was our longest one. And in that same race, we got it. I hit 58. I think you were like an hour and 1.
Yeah, like that was when he left me. He was like, I'm gonna get this.
I was like, I have to get under an hour, baby. She's like, just go.
But we not only did we see improvements in our time and our like running and stuff, but so Spartan races are obstacle course races. Yep. So being able to, especially for Anthony, I'm not huge on the obstacles. I will do them, and I could see a difference in them. Things like there's like a bucket carry and a Atlas carry. Those were just easier. They were not lighter. They just were easier.
Oh, they felt a lot lighter.
Yeah. So being able to do more of those and accomplish more of those. And I think the thing I didn't expect though was the recovery afterwards. We normally hurt for weeks after these races, because we a lot of times will run 3 races in a weekend. And I think by 1 Monday, or 2 days, by Monday we were fine and had no blisters on my feet.
Monday we were back on tonal doing your program. You were like, take a break, and we're like, no.
I remember that. And remind me, but didn't you both finish first in your age groups?
We did.
Yep. I finished, I think I placed in the super, which is the 10K in my age group. And then I think I got second in one, and then we both got first in one.
You were second in the super, and then in the sprint, we both placed first for our respective genders.
Yeah.
I placed 11th overall.
Incredible. Wow. What a just a joy to experience that. Incredible. And I think that's such an underrated benefit. Obviously, there's the performance benefit. You're crushing Spartan races, but the recovery, and a lot of people don't think about this, but when you push yourself and you're going through and doing difficult things like strength training regularly and pushing your body, your recovery is so fast. And whether you get injured or something happens, or you run a Spartan race, you come back a lot faster, which is great. So that's an incredible side benefit to the program as well. Now, obviously, has it been all just roses and butterflies? There's been some challenges. Now, Kristen, specifically for you, I remember you dealing with some challenges with, I don't remember if it was the scale wasn't moving fast enough or you felt like you were plateauing, but I remember specifically making a Mindset Monday video for you and stuff. Talk me through that kind of difficulty that you were going through. If it was, I think it was a plateau that you felt like you were at, and kind of how did, what was it? How did you deal with it mentally, emotionally, physically? And then how did you get through it?
So about the time we hit, so phase 1, obviously we had great results. We were very strict. We didn't have any cheats. It was hard, but we did it. But then phase 2, we started adding in cheat meals and changing macros. And I think that's about where I kind of stalled, and I would do a lot of fluctuating, probably within 5 pounds. And honestly, still do. It took me 3 weeks until after we finished the program to hit my goal weight, and then immediately jump back up. But it was a lot of dealing with stress at home and at work, and just kind of, I easily get burnt out, especially when I do the same things every day and eat the same things every day. So I really had to kind of remind myself, 1, why I was doing it, 2, what the goals were, what the benefits were going to be if we got to that, and reminding myself that this isn't just I'm the pain and the frustration of it for now, but this isn't about losing weight. I mean, obviously that was added benefit and needed, but it wasn't necessary. And realizing that I was making progress in other areas without realizing it, whether that be in the body measurements and the strength score, and our Spartan races really are what kind of settled that in and proved that for us. But just kind of reminding myself, and I just posted, I think last week, that I was struggling again. And it's just, sometimes you just need that reminder from other people of, you're doing all the right things. It's just life, and learning how to balance and manage all of that together.
Absolutely. It's certainly not easy. Now, how do you feel like, whether it was the community or how did you feel like you got through that and were able to get to a bit of a better place? Was it just time, community, accountability? Was it me? What was the thing that kind of helped you get through it?
The above. So I got to talk it out person. So I usually will do multiple things. I will complain with him and talk, okay, what are we doing? Am I missing something that you see in our day to day? I will post about it in our community group, and I always get such great responses from everybody in there. And sometimes it's just you're doing
Stacy and
Jeff. Yeah. Sometimes it's just you're doing great, and sometimes it's here are the things that I do that worked for me. And it was especially helpful to have other women in the group, like Stacy, who have been through it and who have dealt with all the same things that I've dealt with. She's a mom too, so having kids, that's a whole different ball game. So that was a big help. And then obviously, occasionally, if I couldn't get past it, I'd message you, and you quick message me back, and kind of just reiterating the things that he'd say, the things that they'd say. And sometimes I just need somebody to tell me 3, 4, 5 different times, different ways. And then just the time, and really making sure that I dialed back in. I wasn't sneaking a piece of candy. I wasn't, if that's what it was, to be able to get over that, and trying to let go of the stress of that part, because I can have enough stress in my life otherwise. If I add that stress for that, it's just going to keep causing downfall.
One thing that really made her go over the edge of like, okay, I'm going to be all right, was she had made that post. People were commenting in the community, but then I won't say out of the blue, because I mean, you knew it, but you had actually called her to talk with her through that, because you could see that she was in distress. And when you guys finished, she was like, I feel a lot better. And that's really what pushed it.
Yeah.
So that was much, much appreciated.
Yeah. And then of course my personalized video.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's an honor to work with you two. It's been a real privilege, and I don't want to get emotional and choked up, but obviously because we had the full day together, and I'm just so happy for both of you. And Kristen, I know the ups and the downs, it's been a roller coaster, but I just want to reiterate how awesome you are, how strong you are, how just incredible you are in so many ways, and the inspiration you are. You know, I know you have kids, and it's just incredible. You're both incredible. And to see you two doing this together and creating a further bond and supporting each other, it's so awesome on so many different levels. And I just appreciate you both so much. I just wanted to let you know that. And I'm so proud of you both. And I'm so happy for the results that you both have gotten. It really does. It means a lot to me that you trusted me. You invested and you got great results. You put in the work, and there was dark days, there was hard times, but whether it was me calling or community or other things, like you took the advice, you took the coaching, and you executed. And not everybody always does that, but you both did that. So I want you to make sure I acknowledge you, but I also want to make sure that you both acknowledge yourself for what an incredible job you both did.
We certainly couldn't have done it without you and the community that we have and the friends that we've made within that group.
That's why we made the decision to stick around
for a little bit.
At least until you won't have us anymore.
Honestly, I would have you as long as you want, because you're both amazing and you're both fantastic and you add so much value to the group. And of course, everyone always appreciates anytime you're posting. And Kristen, you got great recipes. So Kristen also helps out. She posts recipes on Fridays occasionally, and they are the best, most fantastic recipes. So we appreciate you both. Anything
up for tomorrow?
Perfect. Anything that you want to share to anybody out there? So if somebody's struggling, they're early on in their journey, and maybe they're a couple, or maybe they just had a kid, or maybe they just got their tonal and they don't know what to do, or they're struggling, they feel like they're at a plateau. Anybody who's out there struggling, what would your advice be to get them on track? Like, how do they make that first step? And then what's their second and third step?
My most simple thing is to just start. Just make one change. And I know like there's debate, you can say about whether or not you make those less unhealthy things, but just do it. Just do that first workout, put one foot in front of the other. You're going to feel like you want to give up many days throughout it, but you keep going. You wake up every day and you do it. You scream and yell and you fight and you post a picture of coach up on the wall and you curse him, and then you just keep doing it over and over and over again until you get your results. And eventually they will come.
Yeah, I agree. It's just taking that first step. It's the hardest thing to do. Even if you fall back down, getting back up and just that first step, it can be very, very humbling. But you have to realize, like, this is where I want to be, and the only way to get there is just to do it. Like, there's no shortcuts. There's no anything. You have to put in the time. You have to put in the commitment. And it's not always going to, and as we've discussed, it's not always going to be rainbows and flowers. There's going to be sweat. There's going to be tears. It's going to hurt some days, but you're going to make it. Like it at some point, it's going to end.
I compare it to our Spartan races. I know we talk about it a lot, but there's no shortcuts. We don't know what the route is to sneak out of there. So you just have to keep moving. And eventually you'll get to the finish line. It may be in 12 hours, but you will get to the finish line eventually.
There's this one guy out there. He has this tagline. I think it goes something along the lines of like, action is the difference. Have you heard of this?
Oh, yes, 100%.
That's his favorite thing to say all the time.
All the time now.
Action is the difference between dreaming and succeeding. So you're right. You got to take that first step. You got to take action and you got to execute. And that can take you pretty far. Hard work can certainly take you pretty far. At a certain point, there's an inflection point where you have to combine it with the strategy to get the next level results you want, of course. But action is absolutely going to be the difference. And the cool thing about it is action could also tell you if you need to take a different action, because if it's not working anymore, that's when you know, oh, let me make a tweak here or make an adjustment or take a look at what I'm doing or get some advice or coaching or whatever. So that's fantastic.
That's where having a good coach helps, is you give us that action plan and you fix our action plan when our plan is not working.
As someone who is in health and fitness and does help other people, and you're phenomenal at what you do, of course, but I think there's a lot of people who aren't in health and fitness who don't want to hire a coach or get somebody to help them. So what was that like for you? And why did you feel specifically like, oh, let me reach out to somebody and get help, when, you know, much of the stuff you kind of already know what to do? So what was that like, and why did you do that?
I won't lie, it wasn't easy, because you don't want to be the person to ask for help. You have this background. I teach this stuff. I'm supposed to know this stuff. But for me, it came down to I needed definitely more specific, dialed in plan for the goals that I wanted to do that I didn't have the education or the experience or the skills in. And then, of course, Anthony was very committed. And so that helped a lot too. And there's no way I can cook for him, but I wouldn't even know where to start with helping him reach his goals, because he's not me. I've done it for myself and I can do it for a general population, but getting that really dialed in specific plan, that was what led me to do it.
I use a phrase because she had made that comment, and I said, you don't go to a foot doctor for heart surgery. Like you find the specialist and you ask for help.
100%. Well, I appreciate you having the awareness and putting your ego aside to be able to ask for help. And I mean, look, even I get help. I have my mentors and coaches that I go to for business stuff, but also for exercise and science and nutrition and other things as well. Even coaches need coaches. And as the great Arnold Schwarzenegger has said, you know, there's no such thing as a self-made man or woman. And even him, he's credited so many people with helping him along the way. And I feel the exact same way. I've had so many mentors and people that have helped me along the way. And even today, there's things I said 5 years ago where I'm like, I can't believe I believed that or said that at one point. But you know, you just keep evolving and changing as you gather new information. So that's fantastic. And the last question for both of you is, now that the journey's never over, as we know, you both know, as soon as you hit the top of Mount Everest, there's another one. But so far, has this been worth it? And kind of what's it like to be on the other side?
Yes, it was 100% worth it. Even when you fought the scale every step of the way, because everybody wants to focus on that, fighting that the whole way, coming out on the other side was worth it, because we ended up hitting what we wanted to out of the program. And now that we're on the other side, like I said, we're kind of implementing a few more cheat meals here and there, and finding out that it's not going to kill that number. And it's nice to be able to have a little bit more freedom, because you have that, but now we also have the understandings of how to correct it if we do something bad. And that's the biggest thing is being able to correct and maintain and continue to improve, because there is always another peak, and we're aiming at that one now.
Yeah, and I agree with what he said. Being on the other side, this whole time we're learning all these new things, and I don't think we'll stop learning. But now we have all those tools, we have those resources, and we're just going to keep adding into that tool bag of those tools and resources to keep going. I know that we feel a huge difference than we did. This has been a little more than 16 weeks, but before we started this program. But not only that, like, our family and friends see it. My son has picked up on things that we're doing.
He wants to get swole.
He called me last night and said that he was grounding himself from his switch because he ate 5 pieces of candy. And so today we had a conversation about why that wasn't necessarily a bad thing, but maybe not the best thing either, and how we could work in that. So getting my son involved in that is probably one of the highlights of it.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. He's going to be the next Arnold Schwarzenegger. Who knows?
Maybe.
Or maybe he's going to be the next Anthony.
There you go.
I mean, yeah, I'm a little bit more attainable.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you both. And I think you're right. The journey certainly never ends. But the cool thing is that, right, there's going to be ups and downs. Life is cyclical. There's going to be times where work's getting a little crazy or family stuff or personal things. And maybe you're going to get a little bit off track, and that's okay. But to arm yourself with the tools to always know how to get back on track and course correct, or to get back to where you were, is absolutely fantastic. So thank you both again. I'm not going to cry or get emotional anymore. I've already done that enough. So thank you both. And if you're listening out there, remember, action is the difference. You heard it both from Kristen and Anthony. That's the difference between dreaming and succeeding. So thank you, and we'll see you in the next one.